Imagine stepping out into the crisp evening air, only to be captivated by a luminous orb rising like a beacon from the horizon, a rare October harvest moon that's also 2025's inaugural supermoon. This celestial event promises not just beauty, but a chance to reconnect with the night sky in a way that's both accessible and enchanting for everyone. But here's where it gets controversial. Is labeling this moon a supermoon just clever marketing, or does it truly amplify the wonder of our natural world? Stick around, and we'll explore why this month's lunar spectacle is sparking debates and how you can witness it firsthand. A fascinating alignment of calendars and celestial paths is set to make October 2025 extra special, with the harvest moon coinciding with the year's first supermoon. Picture this: a fuller, more radiant full moon lingering near the horizon just as dusk fades, perfect for those moments when you're heading home from work, preparing a meal, or simply gazing through a window. No fancy equipment required, just a break in the clouds and an excuse to stop and stare. The first time I truly experienced this magic, I was waiting in line outside a local shop, the wind nipping at my heels, absent-mindedly crumpling a receipt. Suddenly, the moon emerged over the rooftops like a glowing paper lantern, transitioning from fiery orange to a softer cream hue. For those fleeting seconds, the street transformed into a synchronized dance. A biker slowed down, a pup halted its sniffing, and someone mid-conversation paused to exclaim, "Hold on, check that out." This time around, it will be even more striking, slightly bigger and brighter due to its proximity to Earth. So, what's the story behind why this harvest moon stands out? Typically, the harvest moon graces September skies, aligning closest to the autumnal equinox. However, in 2025, the full moon nearest that equinox occurs early in October, crossing the monthly divide to earn this coveted, rarer title. When you add in the moon being near its closest approach to our planet, it elevates this event to 2025's first supermoon, stealing the spotlight with its enhanced glow. The calendar mechanics are intuitive, even if the underlying math can be intricate. Mark your calendars for the peak full phase on October 7th, 2025, in UTC, with the moon's nearest point to Earth happening roughly a day later or earlier, qualifying it as a supermoon. Visually, this translates to a disk that can appear up to 14% larger than its smallest size and about 30% brighter than a typical full moon. A noticeable boost, especially when viewed against familiar backdrops like rooftops or ocean waves. But why does this happen? The equinox stays fixed on the calendar, while the moon's cycle is slightly shorter than our months, advancing yearly. Occasionally, the September full moon falls a bit too distant from the equinox, allowing the October one to edge closer and snatch the harvest moon designation. Meanwhile, perigee, the moon's closest orbital point to Earth, cycles independently throughout the year. And this is the part most people miss. When these cycles synchronize, they create these standout lunar events, blending predictability with a touch of cosmic chance that some argue highlights our disconnect from nature's rhythms. Now, when and how can you catch the show? Highlight the evenings from October 6th to 8th in your calendar, centering on Tuesday, October 7th, adjusting for your time zone. The process is delightfully straightforward. On a full moon night, it typically rises near sunset and dips below the horizon around sunrise. Scan the eastern sky as daylight dims, spotting that initial amber glow over chimneys or treetops, then follow its ascent as it shifts to a pearly sheen. Whether you're in an urban jungle or a rural expanse, the horizon is key to the drama. Scout a location with an unobstructed eastern vista. Think a riverside path, a gentle hill, a seaside promenade, or even a park after hours. We've all had those serendipitous moments when clouds part and everything aligns perfectly. Let's be real, it's not an everyday occurrence. But on this occasion, it's worth bundling up, carving out a few minutes, and strolling home at a leisurely pace. Treat the moon like a seasoned actor that appreciates good staging. If the weather forecast is unpredictable, allow a 48-hour buffer around the full moon. The nights flanking it can appear almost indistinguishable. As a stargazer in Northumberland who's tracked moonrises for 20 years, I always say you don't need gadgets, you just need a spot where you're not rushed, shared one avid observer. Optimal viewing window. Aim for local sunset to capture the most intense, warmest colors at the horizon. Direction to face. East for moonrise, west for moonset. Use a compass app if you're disoriented. Essential items. A cozy coat, a flashlight with a red light setting to preserve night vision, and patience as clouds drift by. Photography tip. Incorporate structures like buildings, trees, or water for perspective. Reduce exposure slightly to avoid overexposing the moon's surface. So, what exactly qualifies it as super, and why does that impact your perception? Supermoon may not be a formal scientific label, but it's practical shorthand. Essentially, it describes a full moon occurring close to perigee, the moon's nearest orbital position in its elongated path around Earth. This closeness delivers an extra burst of luminosity and apparent size, which your eyes pick up most vividly when the moon is juxtaposed against recognizable landmarks, such as a pier, a cathedral spire, a railroad track, or a cityscape etched in your memory. There's also the renowned moon illusion at lower elevations, where it seems disproportionately massive near the horizon. Your brain gauges it against everyday objects, inflating its scale beyond what measurements would confirm. The secret to maximizing this effect is timing it low, within the first 30 minutes after rising or the last 30 before setting. Here, the numerical details fade into the background, overshadowed by the perfect interplay of location and timing. Light pollution may dim the stars of the Milky Way, but it doesn't touch the moon. You can admire this from your backyard or a bustling sidewalk, and it still feels intimately awe-inspiring. Venturing to darker spots rewards with enhanced scenery, the illumination washing over fields or coastal trails, lengthening shadows and making the Earth itself glow. It won't require a telescope. Instead, it will gently demand your undivided presence. Let's craft a simple plan for the evening. Begin by consulting a map and scouting a horizon. Select a vantage point with a clear eastern outlook for moonrise, perhaps a bridge spanning a river, the crest of a hill, or even an overlook at a parking area that opens to the sky. Jot down your local sunset time, then arrive 10 to 15 minutes early to settle in and allow your eyes to adapt. In the UK, this means early evening in October, calling for jackets and visible breath in the chill. Smartphones are helpful but not essential. A basic moon phase app or a quick online search for moonrise times in your town suffices. For photos, opt for wide-angle shots that include people or structures for scale, and experiment with burst mode during the horizon break. If clouds are mischievous, be flexible, gaps shift and reveal. And if you miss the initial ascent, the moon's climb is gradual and forgiving. For families, it's an ideal low-key outing, no extended treks or late nights, just a brief stroll and shared upward glances. Commuters can pause on a bridge, linger before a bus, or peek over a train station roof. Early birds might catch its reflection in the west before dawn, with a cooler, subdued palette as daylight encroaches. A modest, radiant ritual amid a hectic year. Labels aren't mandatory for enjoyment, but they create mental space for appreciation. The harvest moon evokes the historical, pragmatic light that extended evenings for harvesting crops, and this October shift weaves that legacy into modern routines. Paired with 2025's first supermoon, it injects drama, reminding us to notice something punctual in a world that's anything but. Its appeal lies in its egalitarian nature. Night shift workers behold it. Children in pajamas spot it from windows. Joggers along trails, smokers on stoops, elders on benches, couriers at stoplights, all can partake. Share a snapshot if inclined, or keep it personal. The true essence is that collective sigh as it surmounts the rooftops, uniting the street in a shared breath. Key points details interest for reader. Rare October harvest moon full moon nearest the equinox falls in early October 2025 explains why the harvest moon isn't in September this year, with an example of how this shift once aided farmers by providing extra light during harvest season. 2025's first supermoon full moon aligns near perigee, appearing larger and brighter sets expectations for a noticeably striking moon, noting that while supermoon is informal, it's a handy term to describe the visual boost. Best viewing window 6 to 8 October evenings, with October 7th at center.